Welcome to another edition of the Big Pod Machine. We have a special guest today. I'm Gordon Wittenmyer. This is my partner Pat Brennan. Frank Bowen behind the camera, great producer. This is Mark Sheldon from MLB.com, the most tenured beat writer on the Reds. And so he's agreed to join us here and give us all the wisdom that we don't have because we're, what do you call it when you're beginners?
Newbies?
Newbies. We're noobs. Yeah. But before we get started on the baseball, I mean, Pat.
Yeah.
I mean,
we gotta.
Pat's got this thing all spring.
And I need to ask Mark as well. Mark,
Yeah, why don't you guys talk?
what kind of experience do you have with snakes out here?
I've seen a couple,
Uh-huh.
but in terms of the dreaded rattlesnake, I was on a hiking trail in the White Tank Mountains once.
Yeah.
And
Wait, you actually saw one?
I saw the aftermath of where the ranger said, don't walk any further on this trail because there's a rattlesnake right there, and we had to be diverted around that spot on the trail, and crisis averted.
Did you actually see it?
I did not see it. But,
So as far as you know, it didn't exist.
well, the ranger, I would trust his words that he didn't want us to get.
I've never seen one down.
So, I think you also got to watch out for scorpions, Pat. Check your shoes.
I mean, check your shoes. The fact remains we are in the desert, and this will remain a preoccupation for me. And
Why? Why? What's your deal,
because
man? You haven't seen one?
I don't. It doesn't mean
Forget-
It doesn't mean you won't. That's a flawed logic, Gordon. Typical of you. But
I haven't seen any.
Forget the snakes. You got to worry about coyotes, man.
there's a lot of ways.
Coyotes?
Yeah, there's coyotes that run around here and stuff. So you
There's
got to
a-
watch out coyotes, mountain
You know,
lions.
For the assignment that this is, and it goes for our media counterparts covering Grapefruit League action in Florida, there are too many exotic ways to die doing this job covering spring training.
Man,
I don't want to die out
Wow.
this podcast went dark.
This is just baseball, man.
All right.
We'll get you through this, Pat. We'll get you through it.
here. 2/3 of the way. Well, yeah. Let's
Word.
see. We'll
Are
see how
we
it
done
goes.
with the rattlesnakes?
Yeah. I just wanted to.
All right.
We asked
Hey.
DJ. I ought to ask Mark.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, we got to ask you about, what things we've observed. Look, man. So, Eugenio Suarez shows up. Gino, guy that I've never covered before. You have. And he comes in, and I've literally, I've covered a lot of great, look, you and I covered the Twins years ago. A lot of great guys in that room.
Yeah.
Great guys covered over the years, good dudes, but I've never been around a guy that when he walks in the clubhouse, it's just a lift.
Yeah.
It's a light, and this is the real thing.
This is the real thing. I remember when he got traded over here before the 2015 season, and at the time, he didn't speak English quite as well as he does now. He was a little quieter, a little more shy, and he was the backup. He was more like a backup shortstop kind of situation. And as he moved through that season, he had his moments, but then in 2016 he became the everyday third baseman, and he became playing more, and then you started seeing the growth. He became a leader. He became a fun guy. He was a guy that he didn't just hang with the Latin guys, he hung out with all the guys, and he encouraged other guys that were speaking only Spanish to speak more English. And he upgraded his way of communication with everybody, and it just seemed like he was something he worked on, and he got better and better at it as the years went by, and by 2019 he hit 49 home runs, and everyone was just so happy, not just for the Reds, even though they didn't go anywhere that year, but they were just happy for him. He became the all-time Venezuelan home run leader in a season.
Which, by the way, he did again last
which
year.
he did again last season with the Diamondbacks and Mariners. But everything he does is just well received, and he's a family man, and he's just a guy that talks about good vibes only, and he likes to tease Jim Day. How's your day?
Today, Jim Day
is quite the thing. That kind of started in 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And he's been off and running ever since. And certainly since he left, as you and I both did talk to some guys from the Mariners and Diamondbacks, that reputation followed him along and even solidified in other places in the heat of battle and obviously in the playoffs.
I swear to God, when we were talking to Diamondbacks and Mariners people, it felt like they were almost trying to like one up or find hyperbole that was beyond hyperbole to describe this guy, because maybe, like genuinely trying to separate him from whatever other good people they liked having in the clubhouse. So, it's whatever this guy does for the lineup, which we expect will be a lot. I mean, it does seem like he's going to bring a lot to the room.
Absolutely. He'll bat behind Ellie De La Cruz. He'll bat behind Ellie De La Cruz. He'll help support that, but also in a clubhouse that was short on veteran leaders on the position player side. They have Pagan, and they have a few other guys on the position player side, but they didn't have a whole lot of leadership on the hitting side, and I think that's going to help having Gino in there.
Yeah, Mark, I wonder if you could, obviously we have to see how these things play out. Other guys have to perform. What do you think the knock-on effect could be for other players in this lineup, like an Ellie De La Cruz? We suggested that Eugenio Suarez could be good for Sal Stewart. And then Terry Francona came back during that conversation and said, well, maybe Sal could be good for Gino. So there's a lot of interesting interplay possibilities here. Just what do you think the knock-on effect of Gino will be?
Well, as managers will say, and Tito has probably said this as well, it lengthens your lineup. It does trickle down. You know who's going to probably bat first with Friedel. Second is still up in the air. And then you have De La Cruz. Then you have Suarez, and maybe the fifth spot belongs to Sal Stewart or Spencer Steer. But whoever those people are that are batting behind each other, there's a great chance that someone's going to be on base. If Ellie De La Cruz is on base, distracting a pitcher with his speed and the things that he can do, and can get on there for Suarez, and if Suarez hits a home run, that could be a 2 or 3 run home run right there. And if Suarez gets on because he's not getting good pitching, then that's a chance for Sal Stewart or Spencer Steer to come up and drive them in. So there's just more and more weapons, and if certainly other players are going to have to step up their game. Suarez isn't a silver bullet that will solve every issue they've had offensively, but it does portend well that guys that had inconsistent or rough seasons last year, like Matt McClain, for instance, this gives them less pressure to have to perform because you have a guy in the middle of the order and everyone else can raise their level.
And last year that was the one thing about this team. They played in maybe the most hitter-friendly park in baseball, and they were below average in runs, below average in slug.
They were 21st in home runs.
Exactly. And so if he elevates them a little bit, if they just get a little bit better, if they get above average, I mean, we know they have the pitching, and this is where I'm going with this. Look, I've been around this team just for about 3 years now, and it stands out to me what this rotation in particular looks like, but it looks like they've improved the bullpen too. But when this team came to camp, they had the 4 veteran guys kind of locked in. They had another carryover in Chase Burns, who's one of the most exciting young power arms in the game. They got Rhett Lauder back healthy, coming into camp, who we know had that great debut, 6 starts, 117 ERA in 24.
Yeah.
And then you got Williamson back from surgery, Aguiar back from surgery. When was the last time Chase Petty, all these years that you've been covering the team, goes back to when, 06?
I've been covering the team since 06, and pitching was for a long time the Achilles heel of the team the first few years, and then they started getting some pitching. He's actually in camp here today visiting. Aaron Harang was there, but Bronson Arroyo came in, and then they eventually brought up guys like Johnny Cueto and acquired Edinson Volquez, and they built a kind of a pretty good rotation.
Yeah.
2012, they went from wire to wire with all 5 starters.
That's the famous one, right?
Not being injured. All of them made every one of their starts. They had to use a 6th starter once because of a doubleheader. 200
innings for all 5 guys. You know how many 200 inning guys there were in baseball last year?
Not many, like 5.
3.
Wow.
So, that's the dream for a staff, is to not need extra guys. And here the Reds they have the 4 guys that you mentioned coming back, and then they have 4 other guys. So they have they're 8 deep, maybe 9 deep for starters. And I've been here when they didn't need starters, and I've certainly been here when they did. A couple of years ago, they needed like 17 starters to get through a season because of injury. So you don't want to you don't want to assume they have it all figured out, but this is a good way to start. If everyone's healthy and stays healthy, they're in good shape with their starting pitching.
Yeah, and according to Fangraphs, WAR, the starting rotation last year was second best in baseball behind the Phillies. And all those guys are back. I mean, except for Nick Martinez and, the Brennan guy at the deadline, Zach Littell.
Yeah.
But all the core, the guys that you're going to count on, the guys that you counted on last year, all those guys are back. And so that plus newfound health and depth. I mean, all those guys, you said 9 guys, all of them have big league starts.
They do.
So you would think they're in good. Let me ask him one more question here before I get back to you, because this brings up the next obvious one, right? Again, you've been here, like you've covered Hall of Famers on this team, and they've had some really good teams in your tenure here. But coming into this camp, the expectations seem very real. They made the playoffs last year. Maybe this is the year they finally break through and win that playoff series for the first time since '95. How do these expectations going into this season compare to over the years for you?
They're similar. When Dusty Baker was the manager, certainly they won the division in 2010, got swept out of the playoffs by the Phillies. 2011 was supposed to be a big high expectation year to build on it, and they fell flat. 2012, they won 97 games. They had the best record in the National League, I believe, and they won 5 games and lost to the Giants. But 2013, they were supposed to do better. They got a wild card spot and were out in the 1-game playoff against Pittsburgh. So but the expectations were there. Those teams were a little more veteran than this team is, but they handled it well. And I think this team seems to be handling the questions pretty well, and they all seem to want to go further. And Francona, and you've heard this, say this to numerous reporters that have popped in and out, is that he wanted them to remember both the champagne celebration in Milwaukee, and then he wanted them to remember 4 days later how horrible it felt to get knocked out in 2 games by the Dodgers. And he wanted all of that to be part of the experience that they can take with them and build on for 2026.
Yeah.
Mark, I know for myself, when I'm making a prediction for the Reds or any team at the outset of a season, I usually like, especially last year when I joined this beat, I wanted to get all the way through spring training and observe as much as I could before I put pen to paper on how I thought things would shake out. So I guess I'm going to follow my own rule here. I can't necessarily hold you to, I can't ask you in good faith to make a prediction for this season, but do you have you talked about the different ways that these expectations of this team could be justified. I guess I'll just ask you, do you have a prediction for this team?
That's a long way of saying you're not going to ask him that.
I don't know if I, like you, I want to watch how spring plays out, because right now it's early, and you haven't seen if anyone's been injured in other camps or this camp, and certainly no one's looking or hoping for any injuries for anybody. But there's a little bit ways to go. But I would say that before the Suarez edition, I kind of thought they might finish kind of where they finished last year.
Yeah.
They could be, either in the playoffs or one of the first team or one of the last teams out, kind of thing. And I think this year they should feel a little bit better about their chances. I would say anything above 85 wins is still realistic. Maybe even a little higher, but it's hard to say right now. But I think they have every reason to feel good about what they can do. Certainly the Cubs and the Brewers are the two, maybe the teams that are considered the teams to beat.
Don't sleep
in this
on
division.
the Pirates, man.
Yeah, you like the Pirates a lot.
But I don't like them a lot, but they got Paul Skeens and some hitters now.
They do, but the Reds, the division's not going to be as easy as maybe other people would think.
You think they're going to win it?
I think they have a chance to win it. I think they have to be in the conversation. I know they're not giving much kindness by Fangraphs and baseball perspectives and stuff, but I think they have to at least be getting the conversation that they have a chance. I think it's a sexy pick. If somebody wants to make it, I wouldn't say ha ha ha, you're crazy. I think it's a viable and deserving suggestion, but I just don't know yet.
Yeah. If the Cubs are the favorites on paper to win the division, which you would think with the acquisitions they made, are these guys a favorite to beat out the Brewers? like a favorite to?
I don't know how the Brewers do it every year.
I don't either.
They lose an ace like Corbin Burns last time, and now Freddie Peralta, and they seem to
Josh Hader along
Josh
the way.
Hader at times, and Devin Williams with the relievers, and they keep subtracting, and yet they keep showing up. So I don't want to count the Brewers out, but at some point their window has to close, because I just don't see how they can keep this going. And it keeps shedding their best players.
You know what? Don't talk to Pat Murphy then, because last year when we saw all the managers and that thing that they do out here in Arizona every year, I basically said, so I guess you guys are going to take a step back this year, probably a little bit, and then all of a sudden he starts rattling off all these guys that they still got that are going to be good. And he likes the guy. And he had me convinced they were going to do it again.
And the thing about the Brewers, as we've talked about, they catch the ball. They pitch very well.
That's a big deal.
They don't sleep on defense, and the
Cubs are the same way.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
The two teams that you're chasing both catch the ball. That's a big deal. How many guys we think are going to catch the ball for this club?
Well, they said they improved defensively, and they certainly did with adding Brian Hayes, but there wasn't a lot of additions in the offseason that were solely to address defense. I mean, Dane Myers can be a backup center fielder, but that's how often is that going to come into play?
Yeah.
I mean,
and your starting center fielder it does a good job.
Yeah, he does a good
plus
job.
Defender.
They'll keep him healthy. They won't wear him out, so that could help in the defense as well.
Do you think maybe left field is a position we still need to see how it shakes out, but if, as a few people have suggested, Spencer Steer ends up occupying left field for some portion of the do you think they've improved in the aggregate defensively by having him out there?
He's definitely was solid in left field in 2024.
Yeah.
But I think he was even better at first base in
Yeah.
2025. So we'll see. But I think he's definitely better. He's going to be better maybe than Austin Hayes. But J.J. Bleday had a down year defensively last year. But he is known for being a better corner outfielder over his tenure with the A's. So we'll see what he has. Dane Myers brings something to the table, and Will Benson has been trying to improve on defense since he got here. So I think they could be better, but kind of have to see how it shakes out. But I think if they have Spencer Steer as their quasi-regular left fielder, and then he could slide over to first base in the late innings for defense, and then bring either Bleday or Myers or Benson out to left field, I think that would work pretty good.
That feels like a plan.
I want to ask both you guys this, because I got a thought. As we head into the season, if the Reds are going to make noise, tell me who your most likely pick is, and maybe there's not a guy, but if somebody who fans nationally are going to know who they are by midseason or late season that maybe they don't now, like assuming that this club makes noise. Pat, I'll start with you. Like, is there a guy that has a chance to be the breakout, have a breakout season, or like make people sit up and take notice that maybe people nationally, and almost every guy in this team qualifies as nationally, people don't know him?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a certainty that this person is going to make noise, but I think Matt McClain has to be an improved version of Matt McClain for the Reds to realize their potential. I think Matt McClain at the plate.
So he's a guy that everybody's going to know by August.
Yes.
I would have said the same thing, but since you said McClain, I'll say Spencer Steer. I think if you take away the horrible first month he had last year, which was entirely because he had a sore shoulder and was kind of limited to DH and not really in the flow. But once he got through the first month of the season, he had a pretty good year, and he had 21 homers, and that was just one behind Ellie for the team lead.
Yeah.
So I would say if Spencer Steer plays daily, whatever the position is, and he's feeling healthy and all that, I don't see why he can't suddenly emerge as a guy.
Yeah.
I like both those picks, but neither one's my pick. Mine's the right pick. Sal Stewart. Sal Stewart came on the scene last year. He had so much energy. I thought he was going to fly sometimes, and winds up leading the club in home runs down the stretch. Performs in the playoffs, and he's bouncing around camp as we head into the season like a guy that is ready to make noise. And with this lineup lengthened, and maybe like before the Suarez signing, you were thinking, well, you're gonna have to get power out of Sal. Now maybe you don't have to. Maybe he drops a spot or two behind, and maybe he just...
Is he your pick to click, Gordon?
He's my pick to click.
Wow.
And he's still got rookie status, so pay attention to the Rookie of the Year race.
It's a valid. I don't think there's anything wrong with that pick. I think that's a good selection. I could see all three of these guys. Any one of the three or all three could have a year that people take notice of.
I see something wrong with that pick. We're basing that. You are basing that on a sample size that is 5 weeks long.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. And
I'm basing it on my eyeballs.
And his
which was 5 weeks. Which is 5 weeks.
The postseason success you're referencing was largely in garbage time because the Reds found themselves down
I've
big.
got my own analytics on this. Now I'm basing.
It's not a bad pick though. It's a good pick. I mean, Sal Stewart, Matt McLean, Spencer Stewart, all three guys who, for various reasons, are primed to level up this year.
I tell you what, if all those guys just play a lot and put up competitive numbers, this team's going to do some damage.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
And assuming pitching stays healthy. Hey, speaking of pitching, did you see the guy? You guys see the guy, the lawnmower guy that looks like the Big Sugar?
I have not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm waiting for him to finish mowing the lawn and doing one of these with the down.
That'd be cool.
That would be awesome. But I saw him out on the backfield. He's getting a snack while he's waiting to mow the next field. And I said, God, that looks like him. I almost said something to him.
Is that him right there? No, it's
It might be him. I think that's him.
a big guy.
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Sorry.
And I'm not the only one. And I won't say who it was, but there was a member of the team that said something along the same lines. Hey, before we let you go, you've been coming down here. Well, let's see. When did the club move from Sarasota?
2010 was the first year out here.
So we're 15 years into
This is year 16.
Goodyear.
Yeah.
My God, I used to come out here when the team first came out here. I was covering across the valley, and I'd come out as a visitor, and there was nothing out here.
It's true.
And now the place is crazy. They're going to put a Buc-ee's in. I just drove past it. Did you see it?
Yeah.
I drove past it yesterday over on
I see it every
Bullard.
day on my way in.
Yeah, it looks like it's not far from being done. It should be done by next year. But if fans are going to come down for the end of camp and want to go do some things around town, especially around Goodyear, you got to have the scouting report, man.
Yeah.
I don't go out much anymore. I usually stay in, but I would say if you're going to eat Mexican food, Raul and Teresa's, where you and I, we've all been, it's very good.
But the
original one, yeah, not the second one.
which is on Yuma.
The original is on at the corner of like Main and Litchfield, down by the other side of the airport. There's one also on Litchfield, just off the 10. The second one is not regarded as very good. They're different owners, believe it or not. They had a falling,
Is that right?
Yeah, they had a falling out. So OG Raul and Teresa's is the one.
That place is cool. That's got a great vibe.
You certainly. I go often into Phoenix, and there's some places I like with pizzas. This is a sneaky good pizza city with like Pizzeria Bianco is a nationally rated place. I like a place called Federal Pizza. There's also like Chicago pizza out here. There's Lou Malnati's not too far away. Giordano's is out here, so you have that. And then as far as activities, I've gone hiking up in the up at Squaw Peak, the White Tank Mountains, South Mountain, Camelback Mountain. There's a lot of places to hike, and there's a lot of activity here, just things to do. And obviously none of us play golf, but golf is a big thing out here as well. So there's enough to do if you don't want to watch
I
baseball.
bet there's a lot of rattlesnakes on those golf courses.
Yeah, we'll check your bag, Pat, before you tee off.
Hey, Pat, what was that place we went to? Bubba's 33?
Bubba's 33. Yeah. Coldest beer in the vallay,
That's on Bullard,
according
too.
to an expert.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Loved it.
It was
Alright.
good. It was good.
Check it out.
And, and if you need a breakfast burrito in town, you got to go to Filiberto's. There's
Okay.
one right on Estrella.
Tell them Gordon sent you.
And you know you love Filiberto's.
Nope.
All right.
That's our cue.
I think
cue.
that's our music. Our exit. Oh, this is good tunes. Hey, thanks to MarkSheldon.com. Wait a minute, we never told the .com.
It's okay. We'll save it for the next interview.
Okay, we call them .com. We got a good reason for that. It's not as dumb as it might sound. Well, it might be dumb as it sounds, but there's actually history behind it. For Mark Sheldon, MLB.com. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy.
Pat Brennan, Gordon Wittenmyer, Frank Bowen behind the camera. That's it for this edition of the Big Pod Machine. Download, where do you download it?
Download Apple Podcasts. Find it at Cincinnati.com.
Spotify or something?
Yeah. No, not that one.
No. I think you can find us on YouTube too, right? Maybe.
Could be.
Well, anyway, talk to you next week.